You are listening to Love, Light, Lonnie, the podcast. I'm Lonnie Nishiyama, and join me as we discover the gifts that live within all of us and how these gifts bring us together to love, help others, inspire, and of course, vibrate higher. Welcome to Love, Light, Lonnie. Hi everybody, it's Lonnie here, and we have another episode today on this Love, Light, Lonnie podcast that I've been doing now for 2 seasons. And today I have the lovely Daley Kennedy. So amazing to have you. I want to tell you guys that he is one of my friends, someone who I think we spiritually connect and have like a bond. And then also he is somebody who is really inspirational to me from his story and just what he does on a daily basis, all of that. So I'm so excited to have you today. And then Jason.
Yes.
Also, how did we meet?
We met through Marky Costello.
Oh, yep. Always Marky.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Marky.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get into some fun convo.
Yes. We're going to have like a really fun convo today. So Jason actually is someone who I met in class. We kind of like instantly connected, but something that he does that I really resonated with was your meditation. And I don't know like how you got to where you are with that, but maybe you can tell us because I have no clue.
Yeah, for sure. It took me a long time to get to meditation actually because I was somebody who self-prescribed myself as can't meditate for a very long time. Oh. I remember the first time I tried, it was probably 20 years ago, and I didn't levitate, and so I was like, well, it didn't work, you know, and I literally like quit after the first time.
Really?
Yeah, for about 8 or 9 years.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I was in an intuitive reading with some friends.
Yes.
And this intuitive, I was kind of sitting there like very cross-armed and very like closed off, but like thought I knew everything. And she said, your guides are telling me I should get you this CD, this like meditation CD. And I was like, okay. And then she left the room, came back with this CD at the time of meditations. And I was like, that was a pretty big sign. She was like, they were yelling at me. She was like, the guides were like screaming at me to get out of the room and get it for you. So I was like, all right. And I had been told that if I didn't start meditating and didn't start slowing down, I would have adrenal fatigue and all of these things. So I started. And when I started with 2 minutes. Yeah. And then I went to 5 minutes a day. And then I started doing 10 minutes a day. And then that led me to end a relationship that was not working anymore. And to start on a path that was really kind of, I believe, carved out for me. And then it kind of snowballed from there. Like I really enjoyed it. I really saw the benefits of it. I learned a lot because if I fell off and missed a day, it was fine. If I missed 2 days, it was okay. If I missed 3 days, I was never going to do it again. So I went through these patterns and still can get into these patterns.
It's like working out.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Well, it's a practice, right? There's no perfect with it.
No.
There's no leveling up. I mean, I guess you can kind of level up a little bit in terms of the amount of time that you dedicate to the types of meditations you do.
Sure.
But I really started to talk about it with other people too. Yeah. Which led me to starting to help friends and family meditate.
I love that.
Yeah. And then I started kind of diverting from my career in entertainment to speaking about it, teaching it, leading at meditations for different organizations like studios and networks and corporations and doctors' organizations. And
so you literally went from, I know everything, I don't need help, to going into a room with someone who's so incredible that connected to spirit and probably your guides. And then all of a sudden, one CD turned into, now here you are in front of networks and people and corporations helping people just to meditate and find peace within themselves. So it's in harmony. Like
it is in harmony. I also believe it is in harmony, not it isn't harmony, but it is in harmony. And I also believe that it is an evolving, because I'm open to meditation and open to what is out there, my work continues to evolve. So I became a coach, a wellness coach.
I love that.
And I work with organizations on that front now.
Yeah.
And then I work with individuals and C-suite executives on that front. And then during the pandemic, and this was like a full circle moment, I was working on what I do with people on myself, because I have 3 kids and I needed to get away from them, from homeschooling for a little bit. So I would like do the work a little bit more.
Yeah.
And in doing the work, I uncovered that I wanted to go back into entertainment. And
I love
so,
that.
Yeah, so it's been a really incredible journey in the past couple of years where I started studying again. I got an agent, I got a manager, I got another agent, I got work. I've been working. And
you've even worked with your kids. I've seen like cute things you guys have done together.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It became a little bit of a family affair too. And it's been really crazy. Even becoming a parent.
Being a parent is the craziest thing, but it's good that you have this skill set already in meditation. I almost feel like, you got back into entertainment, but all of that was supposed to happen in that timing, because sometimes we need to find ourselves and center ourselves before we can dive into even our passions and what we're called to do in other areas, because without that peace within ourselves, we're nothing. We could get the biggest gig ever and just fail at it if we're not ready for it, right?
Fail at it, or believe that we didn't do anything worthy and that we're not good enough, and still stay on that path of just lack.
Loving ourselves.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the toughest thing. I actually just booked a thing with my mom, of all people, and we're gonna go to Sedona and do this whole retreat and work on breath work and meditation and connecting and getting massages and facials, all of that. Yeah. But I'm like, that's what we need, and I need a break too from being a mom. And it's funny that you bring this up, because I literally booked it this morning.
Oh, you did? Nice.
So
amazing.
Weird.
And Sedona, that's one of the spiritual healing centers of the world.
It's so amazing, and you're out there with nature. And I actually I have a lot of earth in me, like earth signs. And so I am a Pisces, but I have Taurus in me. So I'm very like at one with nature. Grounded. And when I'm outside or doing things active, like I feel like I'm more at peace. But I do want to get into your kids a bit, because this is the story that literally I won't cry today, but it did move me to tears. It was just so beautiful. And the whole way that you guys did it, you and your partner, your husband, you're married?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're married, not bad. Because you don't have to be, but some of us are. I'm married too. Yeah. So we have our husbands, yay. But I wanted to kind of show the audience that do listen to this podcast in particular, your beautiful journey, because it inspired me, and you were going through it even before I had kids. Mm-hmm. And I just found it so, A, selfless, but B, the way that you guys did it with such grace and strength. And I'm sure there were hard times, but even with, because they're adopted, but even with their mother and everything, like I just found it so incredible and inspiring. So
thank you. Yeah, it was, we got married in 2015.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
yeah.
we were October. Where were you guys?
September. Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
Which was 8 years ago now. It's crazy.
So weird.
Yeah. So we got married then, and so much has happened in that time. Anyway, we got certified to become foster parents.
Yeah.
By June of the next year. So by June of 2016 or May of 2016, we had done that. We knew we wanted to have children. We had thought about surrogacy. We thought about adoption, and then we were meeting with a woman in North Carolina. We were there for a wedding, and this woman came up through the foster care system, aged down to the foster care system, and then was part of a nonprofit that my husband was working with. And she went to school, and she became like an executive. She works for an airline, I believe now. And she was just this really, Mariah, she was this really cool, strong, young woman at the time. I think she was 22. And she was just sharing with us at breakfast about her journey. And we left that breakfast in January of 16, and we're like, I feel like we should start with fostering, right? Yeah. Like, let's do that. It feels like a good fit. And my husband had kids in his family that were adopted out of the foster care system. And then I had kids in my family, cousins that were the same.
There we go.
So there was a little bit of a connection. We knew a little bit about it, and we'd both been doing work in that. I created campaigns for some of his clients, and he had clients in that world. He's a marketing and political kind of guy. And so we went to a meeting. We got a home inspection. They came to the house. They looked at the house. They said it's good. We did some classwork, learned a lot. And I remember thinking, this process is taking forever. I can't believe it's taking this long. There's, 400,000 kids in the US that are in the foster care system.
Everybody says that, actually.
Yeah, but in retrospect, it was like 4 months. So I was like, It wasn't really that long. I think we were just impatient.
Okay.
And, probably a little entitled. In retrospect.
I love that. Okay, yes. I love your honesty.
Yeah, but we started, and then we got a call one day. We were at class.
Oh.
We were with Marky.
Oh.
And then I left right away. I was like, I have to go because we got a call at 1:00 on a Thursday. And we had stuff ready, but not like everything ready.
Yeah.
So I had to buy stuff. I went to Bed Bath & Beyond or Bye Bye Baby or something like that. Another friend of mine went to Target and grabbed a bunch of stuff. And my parents were inadvertently flying in that day. So it was like a great hit because at 4:00 that afternoon, a 3-month-old and a 13-month-old, a 3-month-old and a 13-month-old got dropped off on our doorstep. And literally dropped
that
off.
was like, that was meant to be by the universe.
Yeah.
There's no way that your parents just fly in
sure.
That is like all meant to be. Okay. I love that.
Super lucky.
Were your parents happy?
Oh my God. They were like, and the oldest that morning came the next morning because my parents got in around midnight.
Okay.
And then when he came down, I brought him downstairs the next morning from his nursery. My mom was in the kitchen getting coffee, my mom and dad, and he just looked up at her and then put his hands up like this for her to pick him up, and she melted. It was a very love at first sight. It was a very instant family kind of connection.
Yeah.
And they were really great kids, and it was for all intents and purposes. As a matter of fact, when they were placed with us, we were told, you guys are going to adopt these kids. There's no way they're going back to their birth parents. They've parted ways with them several times. They can't keep it together. Okay. And what you learn when you're going through the foster care system, I'm sorry I'm talking a lot about this, but...
No, I want to know.
Okay, it is that everything it depends. There are so many factors that go into it. But then you also get the kids that you think you're going to stay with, and you're like, oh, this doesn't make sense. They would never put the kids back into an environment that isn't healthy and safe. Right. But after 1.5 years of raising them, that's exactly what happened. There was a appeal filed when the kids were detained, and they were whisked back to their birth parents, who very much, even though they were starting to try to get stuff together, they had another child too. So the boys had a little sister, and they went back to them. And they were not ready. And it was devastating. And the maternal grandmother, or one of the grandmothers of the kids was fighting for us to keep them. It was just the rug got pulled out from underneath us and from them.
Have you ever seen them again?
We saw them 2 more times after that. And on the second time we saw them, we were court ordered to report anything that isn't healthy or safe. And we contacted the county and said, hey, listen, that house is not safe. Right. We had, one of the kids was sick. We picked them up, took them to the hospital because they didn't have transportation. And I'm glad they reached out to us, and we got him the care that he needed. And we had called his pediatrician, who became a friend of ours. And then the house was just in squalor, Yeah. And they were at that point 3, 2, and 1. So there were 3 kids under the age of 3 living in the house, and it was not healthy. Yeah. And the woman, the birth mother wouldn't take the help, wouldn't get the thing. She needed a lot of help, and the birth father wasn't really present. And anyway, that was the last time we saw them. Until we
I'm gonna cry, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, I know.
And I don't mean to speak about it with such
I actually love how candid you are about it, because I couldn't imagine someone taking my kids away from me. So that would just devastate me. So it's really good that you are speaking about it, and people don't understand this process either, and everything that goes into it,
Yeah, it's rough. It's, it sucked. You know what I mean? It really sucked for them. Yeah. And we kind of kept everything, waiting for them to come back, because that was the other thing that everybody in the system kept telling us. and here's the thing about the system.
Yeah.
It's a really messed up system. It's really,
Yeah.
very big, very much in need of repair.
Yes.
Or much of the systems in this country that we've come to find out over the past few years.
Right.
So,
and I've had Candy on my podcast too, and she is a foster kid, and she was explaining to me some of that stuff too, and it's just like unreal.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
It is, and it's like, why? I remember interviewing a director. I was doing this project for PBS around foster care, and I was interviewing this director, and I said, he said, it's just the system is too big to be fixed or something to that effect. And I said, do you really believe that? And he stopped and he's like, no, I've been fed that information and I've regurgitated it. And he's like, it came up through the system, aged out of the system. And he's like, it's not. So I don't think it's too big to fix.
Yeah,
and
nothing is.
Yeah. And we ended up kind of waiting for them to come back.
Yeah.
We ended up then revisiting surrogacy, my husband and I.
Okay.
And then...
But you just didn't feel that was a good fit?
What happened was...
Yeah.
It was about a year. And it was a really... meditation and mindfulness, going back to that really saw me through that year.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of ups and downs. We had a lot of heartache and grief. And that process of grief kind of comes in ebbs and flows.
Sure.
I remember, I would do this thing where I called it mindfully numbing. I would smoke cigarettes, but I was aware of it, right? It's it's okay, I'm aware of it.
Because I'm aware that this is bad for me.
Yes, but I'm going to do it anyway. I
might do that with wine sometimes.
Yeah. Right. I would go to, I worked out excessively, I ate.
It was just too much.
Yeah, so it was just a little bit of that. But then I remember meditating and kind of doing some visualization work, which is a big part of my practice and my work. I saw these 3 kids, and I kept having this idea of 3 kids. I always thought that. As a matter of fact, when we had the boys, they had a sister, and we thought, oh, that's the 3 kids.
Perfect 3,
right.
yeah.
I don't know, and it was just it was a vision.
It's your intuition.
Yeah, my intuition. Yeah,
it's your guidance.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mark came downstairs, my husband, and he said, I just got a call from this friend of ours she was a foster parent, and her caseworker said, I have these 3 kids that I can't place. They're magical kids, they're young kids, and they are actually living in another county, even though they're from LA, because they couldn't find a home for siblings. Really hard to place siblings. And
why is that? Because people only want 1 or 2, or they don't want all 3. Okay.
Yeah. And also
But I love how you keep them together.
You can keep them together. Yeah. And the thing is that people also don't have the room for more than 1 usually.
Sure.
It's
expensive.
It's expensive. And
it's all at once. You're not saving for
Yeah. And it's regardless of what money the county will give you.
Yeah.
It's this county.
It's not enough. Yeah. Of course.
And so we were fortunate enough to be able to take more kids, and so we were like, yeah, let's meet them. And we were supposed to meet them in December, but we were going away. There was some stuff going on, and we ended up meeting them in January. And it's funny, I didn't realize this until just now, but when we walked into the house, my youngest, Josh, was just 2 at the time, I think. And as soon as I walked in the door, never met him, never saw pictures, he ran up and jumped into my arms. Sort of similar to what happened with my mom. Yeah.
So spiritual, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so sweet. And it was so kismet, I think.
Yeah.
It was just oh, okay. And we met him a couple times. It was in Hemet, which is really far. Yeah. So we drove out 2 times. We picked them up one night for an overnight or a weekend.
Yeah.
And then we picked them up for another weekend, and then they moved in. So they moved in 19, got them into school, and then we got them into the next year a really great school that is in our neighborhood that is focused on social emotional learning, which is
it.
perfect for them. My youngest was in preschool.
And they're gorgeous kids.
They're beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
I could say that because I didn't make them. But
no, yeah, but they are like really good looking and like they seem so smart on your like, you know, I see your stories and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they got it together.
They really are magical. Like they
Old
are
souls.
Yeah. And they've, you know, experienced some things that they can remember and some stuff they can't because they were very young. But like we got them into therapy very early.
I love that.
Yeah.
Therapy,
you know, there's school of social emotional learning based.
Yes.
It's like there's a lot of things that we have to do as parents, no matter what, how our children came to us in today's atmosphere and climate that I think require a lot of external help.
Absolutely. And some parents actually feel guilty about that, I think. And like for me recently, so my son is even in speech therapy, which is like not, you know, it's a kind of normal thing now actually. But I noticed he needed a little help with articulation and things like that. And we thought maybe he had a tongue tie. And so we've been doing that. And his tongue tie is not that bad actually. But so we're working on it and doing these exercises. And at first I was kind of like, oh, I can't believe I have to get help and get, you know what I mean? Like a therapist for this. But now I'm like, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that I have the resources and it's available to me because I can do that for my kid. And it's like, what about the kids that never get that, you know? And I feel like very lucky and fortunate, and he's just gonna be better for it and help the world in whatever way he's gonna help them. And by them, I mean, you know, humankind. So I'm hoping when our kids grow up that people are actually gonna be kinder and more aware and self-aware because they've gone through these things in life. And I also want to just say how inspirational it is that you're telling the story today, because I have a text message from my husband this morning that was literally like, hey, we need to donate to an organization soon. Like, how do you feel about this or that? And I was like, and he always donates to some that he used to sit on a board of a couple that focus more on education for kids, like middle schoolers, elementary school. But for me, I was like, you know, I think I want to do something with like foster care or adoption or kids that are actually sick or need like therapies that maybe they don't have access to. And it's funny that we're actually sitting here. I didn't even think about it. Like today we're going to do this podcast. And I'm like, of course, it's Jason. And it's like, we're doing this now. But I'm grateful for that. And I want the info of the organizations that you love, because I might consider
you know, you can check out, my husband runs one of these, or works with a couple of people and runs an organization called Foster More. Okay. And they are sort of like a guide. Okay. Another one that I like, you know, so you could go on their site.
Guides.
Exactly. You can go into their site and kind of see different organizations.
I love that.
From what I know about it. And then Kids in the Spotlight is another one that I really like. They have foster kids or kids in the system. And kids who've aged out create film and movies and content. It's really impactful.
And that's funny because he worked for Brazil, the Brazil Foundation, and they focus on middle schoolers so that they don't get, you know, into trouble or anything in certain areas in LA. And Best Buy came in and helped build this beautiful lab for them where they can create content and make films. And like I went to watch one of their film festivals. It's incredible what middle schoolers can do, you know, and just music and technology. It was just fascinating. So
there's another one too that I am starting to try to get some people to. It's a camp that they're building in like Palmdale. Okay. And it'll be like a year-round facility. They're already doing it right now. I forget the name of it, but I'll text it to you. It's a camp that like brings kids in, and most of the counselors came through the system as well. Wow. So it's really impactful. There's so many organizations.
There's so many. It's just like, I guess what we're trying to say is like, anyone listening, anyone out there, like whatever you want to support, you know, do it. And it doesn't have to be what we love, but this just hits home for us, and we're parents. Yeah. But, you know, whatever you want to get back to, save the environment, help people meditate, whatever you want to do. Like, I love that, you know, because the more we all work on ourselves, I think the higher the vibration can get in this universe. And then we can start living life differently. And it doesn't have to be so awful. You know, when I see people being mean to each other or judging each other, I can't stand it. And I love my friends, I love my family, but I see them doing it too at times. And I do it too, don't get me wrong. But I really work on not being that way, because it's not worth it to me.
Yeah, I feel like that comes down to grounding yourself too.
Yes.
You know, like the more
Totally.
grounded, as you know, that you are and connected, the less I'm apt to like act out. I believe it's a response
Sure.
or a reaction.
What's your sign again?
Gemini.
Gemini. Oh, a Gemini. I could feel that. And I'm like the emotional Pisces.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
I sat here and cried. But I love that for you. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing this
Yeah,
today.
of course.
I feel like you're an inspiration. If one person resonates with this and like hears your story the way I have, it's just going to inspire them. I mean, if you're a parent, if you like to meditate, if you just want to be a better person, I think that's incredible. I love that we got married in the same year.
Yes.
We should probably do a trip together soon.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah,
To
a couples
Sedona.
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kids.
No kids.
All right.
All right, I'm down for that. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jason Daley Kennedy.
Thank
love
you. I love you. Thank you.